How a dying patient's prayer healed my empty heart. My name is Emily, and I was an emergency room nurse in Dallas for 8 years. Every day, I saved lives. Every day, I held dying hands and watched families break apart. You'd think that would fulfill me, but inside, I felt nothing. Empty. Like I was going through the motions of living without actually being alive. I had everything the world told me I wanted. A good job, financial stability, respect from colleagues. But when I walked home at night, the silence in my apartment echoed loudly. I wasn't depressed. I was just hollow, like something fundamental was missing, but I couldn't name it. That Tuesday started like any other. The ER was packed. Car accidents, heart attacks, the usual chaos. Around 2 p.m., they brought in a 73-year-old man named Ibrahim Hassan. Massive heart attack. Family was on their way from out of state. As I prepared his IV and monitors, I noticed something strange about this patient. Despite the tubes, the machines beeping around us, the obvious pain, he had this look of incredible peace on his face. Not the peace of someone who was giving up. The peace of someone who knew something I didn't. 3 days later, Ibrahim was still fighting. His condition was critical, but he kept asking for something that puzzled me. "Is there a place where I can wash?" he'd whisper to me. "I need to pray. Mr. Hassan, you're in the ICU. We can bring you anything you need, but you're not well enough to leave your bed." He smiled at me with such warmth it caught me off guard. "It's okay, nurse. Allah will understand." I didn't know what to say. I'd grown up in a small Texas town where Islam was something you heard about in the news, not something you encountered in real life. But something in his eyes made me want to understand. That night, during my shift, I watched Ibrahim do something I've never forgotten. Using the small bottle of water I brought him, he performed what I later learned was wudu, washing his hands, face, arms and feet with such reverence. It was like he was preparing to meet the most important person in his life. Then, lying in that hospital bed, surrounded by machines and uncertainty, he turned his face toward what I learned was called Qibla, and began to pray. I froze. Here was a man whose body was failing, who might not see tomorrow, and he was thanking God. Not asking, "Why me?" Not cursing his situation. Thanking. "Nurse Emily," he said afterward, his voice weak but clear. "You seem troubled." I almost laughed. "I'm fine. I'm the nurse, not the patient." "No," he said, studying my face. "You save lives, but something is dying inside you. What is it?" I felt tears spring to my eyes. Nobody had ever seen through me like that. I don't know. I save people every day, but I feel empty, like there's something I'm missing, but I can't figure out what. "What do you seek?" I wish I knew. He nodded slowly. "In the Quran, Allah says, 'Indeed, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest.' You save bodies, but you need to save your own soul." That night, I couldn't stop thinking about his words. The next evening, I found myself bringing him his water earlier than usual. "Mr. Hassan, can I ask you something?" "Of course. What does it mean to remember Allah?" His face lit up. "Come closer, my dear. Let me tell you." For the next hour, he shared with me what Islam meant to him. The peace that came from knowing there was a purpose greater than ourselves. The comfort in surrendering to a will bigger than our own struggles. The rest that came from trusting in divine wisdom. "But I'm not religious," I said. "I was raised Christian, but I never felt that connection." "Faith isn't about being perfect or never doubting," he said gently. "It's about being honest with yourself and honest with God about what you need." That became our routine. Every night, after my shifts, I'd sit by his bed. He would share verses from the Quran, explain their meanings, tell me about Prophet Muhammad's mercy and compassion. He never pressured me to convert, never said Islam was the only way. He just showed me the peace that faith had given him. "Faith isn't about being perfect or never doubting," he said gently. "It's about being honest with yourself and honest with God about what you need." That became our routine. Every night, after my shifts, I'd sit by his bed. He would share verses from the Quran, explain their meanings, tell me about Prophet Muhammad's mercy and compassion. He never pressured me to convert, never said Islam was the only way. He just showed me the peace that faith had given him. He taught me Arabic phrases, shared stories of his childhood in Morocco, explained the 5 pillars of Islam with such love, I felt like I was learning about an old friend. "You know," I said one evening, "I used to think that faith was about having all the answers. And now? Now I think it's about being okay with the questions." He smiled. "That's wisdom." The second week, something shifted. I found myself looking forward to our conversations. I started reading about Islam on my phone during breaks. I felt different, not just curious, but hopeful for the first time in years. Nurse Emily, Ibrahim said on day 14, you seem lighter. I am. I don't know why, but talking to you, learning about this, it's filling that empty space I felt. He smiled. That's wisdom. The second week, something shifted. I found myself looking forward to our conversations. I started reading about Islam on my phone during breaks. I felt different, not just curious, but hopeful for the first time in years. Nurse Emily, Ibrahim said on day 14, you seem lighter. I am. I don't know why, but talking to you, learning about this, it's filling that empty space I felt. Allah works in mysterious ways. Sometimes He sends us exactly what we need through the people we least expect. That night, I made a decision that surprised even me. I called my supervisor and requested a few days off. I went to the local library and checked out every book I could find about Islam. I spent hours reading, learning, understanding. 3 days later, I returned to the hospital. When I walked into Ibrahim's room, his daughter was there. She had finally arrived from California. You must be Emily, she said, tears in her eyes. My father told us about you. He said you have a beautiful soul seeking truth. I sat with them both as Ibrahim shared what we'd discussed. His daughter wasn't surprised. My father has always been like that, she said. He sees people for who they truly are. That evening, alone with Ibrahim again, I made a choice that would change everything. Ibrahim, I said quietly, I want to learn more about Islam. The real way, not just from books and conversations. How do I start? By understanding what your heart is telling you, he said. What do you feel when I talk about Allah's mercy? Peace. The first peace I've felt in years. Faith begins with honesty. Your heart already knows what it needs to know. I spent the next few days in deep reflection. I thought about my life, my emptiness, my search for meaning. I thought about Ibrahim's peaceful demeanor despite his condition, the comfort his faith had given him, the way it had awakened something beautiful in me. On Ibrahim's 18th day in the hospital, his breathing became more labored. The doctors said he had maybe a few hours left. I sat beside his bed, holding his hand. Ibrahim, I need to tell you something. He looked at me with those kind, knowing eyes. I want to embrace Islam, not just intellectually, but with my whole heart. I want to become a Muslim. The smile that spread across his face was radiant. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. You've shown me what it means to have true peace, to have a relationship with Allah that brings rest to the soul. I want that. I need that. Then let me be your witness. As his daughter and I held his hands, I recited the Shahada. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulallah. I felt something I can't describe, like a light switched on in the darkest room of my heart. The emptiness I'd carried for so long was replaced with warmth, with purpose, with connection to something infinite and beautiful. Ibrahim squeezed my hand.